Hello, dear friends. I received a pair of Marshall Mage 5 headphones for repair. They're not turning on. The problem started after a fall, when the joystick lever broke off. They tried gluing it back on, but it only made it worse. Glue got inside the joystick, and it got stuck. Now the headphones can't be turned on or off. The joystick lever is dangling and practically torn out. It's held in place by a rubber boot. When I connect the charging cable, there's a charging indicator. Current consumption is about 100 millimeters of mercury, which is normal. Most likely, the problem is only with the joystick. I'll have to replace it. I haven't found any other defects yet. Well, let's try to repair these headphones. Let's start with disassembling. I remove the ear pads. There are mounting screws underneath them. I unscrew them. I disassemble the earpiece that contains the joystick. It's located on a separate miniature board, connected to the main board via a ribbon cable. Disconnect it. Behind it is a screw that secures the board retainer. I unscrew it, remove the retainer, and remove the board with the joystick. A 5-position microswitch is used here. The part model is now on the screen. I'll tell you a little more about how I found it. First, I took photos of the part from different angles. Then, I used Google's image search function. If you can't find what you're looking for right away, you can change the photo angle. And after a while, the joystick model appeared in the search results. I bought a batch of 10 new microswitches. Some people on my Telegram channel wrote that these microswitches have slightly thinner pushers than the stock ones, so I might have to come up with something to hold the lever in place, but more on that later. For now, let's replace the faulty part. I'll be using a soldering iron for this part, as it contains plastic components that could melt when heated with a hot air gun. First, I decided to unsolder the cover to remove it and see what's inside. Basically, there are 5 buttons combined into one housing. I could try simply removing the cover with the plastic pusher from the new microswitch. However, since the film securing the metal membranes had melted, I decided to replace the microswitch with a new one. Although the contacts themselves are in perfect condition, no liquid has definitely gotten in there. There are no traces, no oxidation. The design of the new joystick is similar, only the adhesive tape used is yellow. This is obviously high-temperature Kapton tape. It shouldn't be damaged when soldering the LEDs. The bottom of the housing has a pair of pins of different diameters. They align with grooves in the board. This way, it's impossible to install the microswitch incorrectly. Well, I'll move on to the replacement. I'll start by soldering the LEDs. Next, I lift the case on one side and remove the component. Judging by the condition of the plastic case, we can conclude that plastic melts when heated with a soldering iron for a long time, so the leads of the new component must not be overheated. I'll have to solder quickly. I press the joystick onto the board and heat the LEDs. I do the same on the other side. After that, I solder each LED separately. The final result looks like this. The microswitch clicks when I press the plunger and operates in all 5 directions. Now I need to somehow install the lever. The problem is that it contains a broken part of the old joystick. I completely rip off the dust cover, it's going to fall off in the future anyway. I'll figure out how to install it later. Now I'm painstakingly working to pry everything unnecessary out of the lever. This is probably the most unpleasant and tedious part of the entire repair. I even had to use an engraver with a diamond bit. I'm cutting off the remains of the dust cover. Now the lever is ready to be installed. It's a bit loose, so I'll need to secure it. I think a 2-component epoxy adhesive is best for this. It's easier to use than superglue. For example, it sets in about an hour, giving you plenty of time to remove it from unwanted areas if you make a mistake. Superglue doesn't allow for that kind of error. I degrease the surfaces before applying the adhesive. I only need a drop. I thoroughly mix the components and apply it to the lever's mounting hole. When I install it on the joystick, I notice that a little excess adhesive has squeezed out. I carefully remove the excess to prevent it from getting inside the microswitch. I position the lever and leave it for about an hour for the adhesive to set. Look, it's not completely hardened yet, but that's enough. We'll check the results under a microscope. You can see that the joystick lever and plunger move together, meaning they're well glued together. At the same time, no glue has gotten inside the joystick and blocked its operation. The lever is installed slightly askew. This is the result of my carelessness, but I think you'll forgive me for that. Now, regarding the dust cover, I simply slide it onto the lever. It fits snugly. It should do its job. Dust won't get in. Well, I can reassemble the headphones and move on to testing. There's a power-on sound when pressing the joystick. The headphones connect to the smartphone, and sound is output. I tested the joystick in all directions, and there are no issues. Track switch, and the volume increases and decreases. Well, my dear friends, that concludes my repair for today. Thank you all for your attention, and I'll see you at other repairs. See you soon.